Hello, hi, my name is Yilmaz Vurucu. I'm a filmmaker and a storyteller. And I work with socially inclusive organizations, mostly in telling their stories and in campaigning on their behalf. Today I'd like to talk about a concept that I like to coin as social campaigning. The reason I use this wording is because advertising, in a way, is viewed as negatively by organizations that promote social inclusion and equality and that are active in our communities. And there's a connotation to the word advertising that kind of suggests that it's manipulative, or that it could be a stretch of the truth, or that it is utilized for purposes such as selling or promoting a brand or a campaign or an organization. So I'd like to overcome this negative connotation by calling it social campaigning. And I think the thing with social campaigning, or what I like to term as, what I like to call as storytelling in a way, because that is what we're doing through social campaigning, is that it's been something as old as time itself. Like when you look at the history of humanity, we've survived by passing on information and knowledge. Our communities have thrived by telling stories on the past and on the future and on what lies beyond our scope. And this has been a tool that we've been using since the beginning of humanity, so to say. So what is social campaigning? For me, it's heartfelt. It's not devious. It's not something that is manipulative. It's something that's a product of the communities, and it's a way for the communities to express themselves and to get out there and connect and build bridges with other communities or other individuals. I'd like to talk about a few things in regards to social campaigning, including some tools which I hope will be helpful for organizations when promoting activities, trying to inspire people to join, as well as communicating, what they're doing and how they're doing it and what their goals and purposes are. One of the most important things about campaigning is the collective voice. And that's why I think every organization should, in one way or another, look for options and ways of campaigning. What do I mean by collective voice? What I mean is that if there are enough voices out there, because right now the landscape is basically flooded with messages that, for instance, tell us to buy something, be somewhere, be a certain way, do a certain thing. But if collectively we can all have a voice out there, this creates a kind of roar, a collective roar, the power of the many. And I think this is something that should be continually done to normalize and to show that this is an acceptable way of living, or an acceptable thing to do, or to raise awareness on these issues. So just like our communities, it's not just the campaign alone, but the collective roar that I'm talking about. That's what creates the message, and that's what gets it out there, and that's what makes it more visible, let's say, to wider audiences. Another important thing are utilizing the resources at our disposal. What do I mean by that? It could be that as socially inclusive organizations that have a tight budget and that don't have too many resources, it's difficult to compete with bigger organizations for the media space that's out there. In other words, when companies or bigger organizations or bigger institutions have the funds to be able to buy off blocks of space, including outdoor advertising, including radio, television, internet space, us as organizations, smaller organizations, and also the institutions that I've worked with don't always have the same capacity to do so. But they have one tool that's very important. They can be resourceful and they can be inventive. And so social campaigning shouldn't only be seen as something that you do with buying internet ads or with buying ads in newspapers. You can get extremely creative and inventive. For instance, I want to give you an example. There's a documentary that I'm currently working on about community initiatives and heritage sites and how community initiatives have transformed heritage sites. And I'm doing it on 2 case studies. And one of these case studies is Largo Residencias, which is in Lisbon, or Largo, let's call it, because they had to leave one of their buildings and go into another building called the Quartel, which is in the same neighborhood. But anyways, you can watch the documentary if you want more information. But the point of it being is that they've transformed the neighborhood and they moved to a new area, still in the same neighborhood in Intendant, and they were having a grand opening. And while I was there, Raquel, one of the managers, or let's say one of the people running the organization, went door to door with pamphlets, knocking on doors one by one and inviting the community to come visit them and to come to the grand opening. Now, this was a social campaigning tool, actually. It's a form of advertisement. It's a form of getting the message out there. But it is so unique and it is so, let's say, connective, right? It's building bridges in a way that it can even be more impactful and more effective with the community in reaching the local community than running ads worth millions of dollars. Another example I want to give, again, within the realms of the same documentary that I'm producing, is the Stara Trnitsa, or the market hall in Bratislava. And this market hall is basically an old heritage site in the middle of the city that was revitalized with the Market Hall Alliance and their efforts. And staying true to the purpose of the building, what they have is every Saturday they have a local farmers market. And they curate basically the stalls there. They really give attention to who it is that's offering goods and services there. And these are mostly local producers, people from the community who are making something and want to sell it. And you can find lots of original stuff there. But what they do is they have a magazine that they print. Printing costs are not that much. And in it, they feature the stories of the farmers and the producers who are selling at the market. So what this does is it creates a one-on-one bond with the community, because now the people who come to the food market and who grab the magazine and they see the person or the lady or the man selling the tomatoes or the sweets or the cucumbers or whatever, they read about their story and now they have an affinity. So they establish a relationship with the producers and the providers. And this is also another interesting tool. So always try to think outside of the box, think of new ways of reaching communities, and remember that our strength comes from being local and from establishing bonds with the communities around us, because we want them involved in whatever it is that we're doing. Another point is that, so I'm going point by point, but another point, and this is an important one, I think, is that, you know, there's marketing lingo. Marketing lingo talks about target groups and reaching the target group and looking at their characteristics and their desires and finding ways of appealing to that, etc. But campaigning should be more than that. It should be the social campaigning, let's say, should be more than that. It should be to inspire people. It should be to give them a sense of hope, a sense of purpose, and a desire, actually, to contribute. So, in a way, it should inspire action. And it's about building bridges. What do I mean by this? I want to give you another example, because I think telling stories is a good thing, like I said, and examples are important. Loginsleben is or Loginverein is an organization here in Vienna that has been in the 15th district, a diverse working class district of Vienna, and also perhaps one of the poorer neighborhoods of Vienna. For 20 years, they've been there. And when you look at their social media presence, they're not that active. They're difficult to find. But they are inspiring their local community to take part, and that's what keeps them alive. So basically, they're out there in the community, they're connecting with the community, and they're inspiring the locals to take part in the activities. They have a full schedule. They even have like cooking days on Thursdays, etc. And they've occupied a parking spot in front of where their organization is, and the community comes there and sits down, has a tea, has a free coffee, chats, etc. So it's become really an organization that's a hub for the community. And this can only happen if you inspire people, and if you respect people, and if you have the right message. And that's basically what Login has managed to do. So, in a sense, it is about involving people in the process. And this should also be one of the messages in social campaigns. How can people be involved, right? So you've used resources, you're telling stories, you're finding connections with the community, you're inspiring them. So the fifth thing, what do? You involve them. And how do you do that? Again, you can use different tools to do that. You can have a call for action. You can say, come on down and let's talk. If it's online, you can inspire them to go sign something, a petition or whatnot. Or you can be more grassroots. And one example of this is the Place City project, which was an international project. And the foot here in Vienna was in Floridsdorf, which is a very unique kind of district with a lot of traffic. And what the project initiators did is they created a kind of pop-up furniture stand that could be taken anywhere in the city, or in Floridsdorf in the district, and utilized as a space where people can engage, obtain information, exchange knowledge, and just sit on, exhibit in, show films in. So it was a very unique thing. It was on wheels, and you could just roll it over to the next neighborhood or in front of the next shop that wants to be a part of this movement. And you could involve the local communities in the aspect. And I think that's also a very important tool for social campaigning. So to summarize, I think, as I said, storytelling is a key element, being honest, transparent, involving our communities and the collective roar. We need to be out there. We need to campaign. We need to show that communities have a voice, and that the issues and the themes that are important for communities are actually extremely important. Otherwise, what's going to happen is they're going to be gentrified, utilized by corporations or other purposes as a message that benefits whatever it is they want to benefit. And so I think it's definitely something that every initiative, every organization, every NGO should utilize, and we should break the stigma around it. And we should not be ashamed to tell our stories in a transparent way to our communities. Thank you for listening. I hope this was beneficial to you as well. It was definitely fun for me to put together. You can visit the Wonderland website for more information. And I guess that concludes our webinar on this topic.